ready, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
All right. Welcome into the Ranch Sit Down. Today we are joined by Oklahoma singer-songwriter Mikayla Lane. How are you, ma'am?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm fabulous. Thank you so much for chatting with us today. You got your start in the music industry at a pretty young age.
I did. I started performing whenever I was 5 years old. Started writing and recording my own music whenever I was 13 and been doing it ever since. So pretty much my whole life.
Do you remember the songs you were writing at the age of 13?
Oh, yeah.
What
They
were
were bad.
I was going to say, what were they
They
about?
were bad. So my first one that I ever wrote was actually about my best friend whenever I moved from Kentucky to Oklahoma.
Uh-huh.
And it was called Emma's Song, naturally. Her name was Emma.
Oh, that works.
And and it was awful. I mean, like, I thought it was great. And, you know, whenever you write your first song, you think it's the best thing ever.
Oh, yeah.
And now
'cause
I
you've written
listen
your
back.
song.
Oh, yeah. And now I listen back, and it was up on my YouTube.
Oh,
And
was it really?
Yes, and I figured out how to sign into my YouTube, and I, like, clicked private so fast. Like, so fast. I was like, no one's hearing this anymore.
Were there comments on it?
They were all very supportive.
Okay.
It was, like, older demographic
Oh,
comments.
you're
So they're like, oh.
trying. Yeah.
They're like, oh, that's so cute. And I just thought it was amazing. So yeah, I reflect back on my songs that I wrote whenever I was younger and learn what not to do. So, but we all gotta grow, so.
Some of us will one day. So you're Oklahoma. So you were in Kentucky before Oklahoma. When did you move to Oklahoma?
So I moved to Oklahoma whenever I was 10 years old, so almost 9 years ago.
You still talk to Emma?
Sometimes, yeah,
Really?
we stay in touch actually. So it's.
That's cool.
I know.
Has she heard the song?
She has.
Oh, poor thing. That's neat.
Hey, don't be knocking my first song. But yeah, honestly, poor thing. So yeah, it's been a fun process. You know, Oklahoma has been my favorite place that I've ever lived. I grew up in the ranching world, and that's
Right.
pretty much all there is in Oklahoma. That's majority of the people there, and it's just awesome. I get all my songwriting inspiration from that lifestyle, and being kind of half and half music and kind of the ranching cowboy way of life is really awesome, and I'm so glad that I can do both.
So what got you into interested in music in the first place? Is there a musician in your family?
There's actually not. None of my family
Really?
plays any instruments. No one sings. It was really random. And I just sang all the time, just to myself around the house. And my parents wanted to try out some vocal lessons just to see how I liked it, and I loved it.
Really?
And I started performing around my hometown in Kentucky, and I had a duo with my other friend called the Cowgirl Cuties.
Oh, that's
And
great.
yeah, and
You gotta bring that back.
oh yeah, we tore up down there. We played at the Corn Festival, the Woolly Worm Festival,
Whoa.
the Woolly Worm Festival.
Woolly worm? I don't know if we're allowed to say that on radio.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't think so, but it's an insect, a worm that is found in Kentucky, and I think other places. But yeah,
Wow.
we made our debut at those festivals. It was a good time.
So Kentucky is known for good singer-songwriters, woolly worms, and whiskey. So
Pretty much.
That's an interesting state.
And the average corn festival.
In the corn festival.
Yeah.
Now, do the woolly worms get into the corn? Is that an issue?
I'm not too sure. I know they keep the festivals separate, so maybe
Then
that might be a concern.
We need to do some research here.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
We need to be figuring that
So
out.
who were you listening to growing up? What was were you always into country? Did you do some pop? I mean, like a lot of times kids, we just kind of try different genres all the time until we, figure out what sticks.
So for me, it's always been country.
Really?
I grew up listening to music with my dad like all the time when we'd be driving, hauling cows or whatever. We'd always listen to country music, and it was specifically these really old school cowboy artists like
Oh,
Don Edwards and Red Stegall. Like
Oh,
these,
yeah.
Yeah, these really great writers who are almost like poets at first, and which I guess lots of songwriters are, but they turned their writing into songs, and I just thought their storytelling was so awesome. And I remember listening to these songs that at 5 years old I had no idea what they were saying, but I thought it sounded cool.
Right.
And so that's my first kind of memory of country music. And I will say I did have the Selena Gomez and the Scene CD, and I burned that one up a lot too, but it was mainly always country. That was about as far as I ventured out, was that Selena Gomez thing, but it always came back to country, so that's all I've done.
That's interesting. Cowboy poetry is just amazing.
It really
It really
is.
is.
And I take a lot of my influence for my songwriting today from their stuff and kind of make it modern and my own thing. And some of the sounds they do, kind of Ian Munsicky almost. They would put those kind of like, Ian Munsick sometimes does those vocal things that sound like coyotes sort of, and they did that same thing, but I really love that stuff, and the kind of spacey, lonesome production, I love that. And so I think integrating some of the stuff they did into my music today is fun. So
who are you listening to now when you don't have to listen to your own stuff?
Yeah.
Critique yourself.
Literally.
Yeah, right.
I listen to a lot of Turnpike.
Okay.
Taylor McCall I love his stuff. The Wilder Blue, they're some of my favorites. Man, I listen to all kinds of stuff. Wyatt Flores, we were talking about him earlier. He's great. Kind of just all over the board, honestly.
It sounds like it already.
It really is. And then I'll go to like rock, and then it's like, well, my playlist is kind of all over the place. So
I feel like everybody's is, and
I
that's
think
the cool
so.
thing about being part of the the Texas Red Dirt Americana music scene is you can do whatever you want.
Right, you can,
and we
I
all
feel
support
like,
it.
Right, exactly. And I think that an artist, to be well-rounded, almost has to listen to all different types of music because you can appreciate it in different ways.
Right.
And it makes your music interesting and different and not just like the same old thing,
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. So you're a young artist. How do you kind of navigate your musical career? Do you have a lot of help?
I do. So my mom and dad have always been super, super supportive of the music thing. Yeah, I don't have any siblings, so it's always been me. And my mom specifically has helped me with all of the day-to-day stuff. And my dad does all of that too, just not as much as me and my mom because he works. But yeah, I've been super blessed with a really great support system. And ever since I was really little doing it, ever since then from still now, and I figure forever. So I just don't understand how some people do it without that. I feel like that would be so hard. I feel like I'd be like, man, because whenever I need encouragement and I'm down on myself or I'm confused or I always look to people who are there supporting me, and I'm like, if you didn't have that, it would be tough,
Absolutely.
So yeah, I've always had a great support system, and I just graduated high school last year, so being out of school and really getting to focus on my music and having more opportunities to travel and all that has been really beneficial.
So what do you think you would have done if you weren't doing music?
I probably would have gone to OSU, go Pokes, and probably studied something in the equine world.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think being an equine vet would be cool, but that's a lot of school.
That's a lot of school.
I don't know if I'm that dedicated, to be honest with you.
Right. Sounds like you just wanted to get out of high school and be done.
Pretty much.
Right.
That's pretty much how it was for me because I was never much of a school person. I just kind of got through it. That was my mentality,
right.
Which is rough. Not the best mentality, but I mean, honestly, that was it.
How old were you when you knew music was your career? Were you in high school?
I think so. Yeah, maybe late middle school, early high school, and it was never really a light bulb moment for me. It's just something that I'd always did.
Just felt natural.
And it was just a really natural flow into it. So
that's fantastic. So what has been so far for you your most memorable music moment?
Probably getting to perform on the Ryman Auditorium in Nashville.
Way.
Yeah.
Holy
that
cow.
was insane. That was the most crazy performance. I never thought that I would be performing at the Ryman at 18 years old. It was just incredible. Shenandoah played, Chapel Hart.
Gosh.
Yeah, it was freaking iconic. And I opened the show, no pressure at all. I opened the show, it was a full band set, about 30 or 45 minutes. And what was weird is, being an artist, I keep hoping that the nerves are going to go away each time, but they're always there just hanging out.
Yeah,
I'm
I was
okay.
going to say, how fast was your heart beating during that?
Well, what I was going to say.
Trying to breathe.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say is weirdly at that show, I was not nervous at all.
What?
It was crazy. I was like, why? And so many people had told me I don't believe in the whole energy and spirits and all that stuff, but I had talked to other people before that show, and they were like, yeah, I got nervous before every show but that one. I'm like, that's so odd. And I was the same way, and it was just really crazy, which I was glad for, because I'm I don't need adrenaline on my side here.
You don't need to just pass out on that stage.
Exactly. So I was like, man, but no, it was such an honor, and my whole family was there, full band performance. It was just great. It couldn't have been any better.
So how do you make a set list for something like that?
Oh gosh, I overthink it really bad.
Well, you kind of have to.
Right.
I mean, that's an experience that you want to
really
remember forever. Yeah.
It is, and I like to open and close with originals for sure. And if it's a set that I can play all originals, then that's what I'll do. And the Ryman, it's an auditorium, so people are sitting. It's not really like the typical dance hall where everybody's up having a good time. It's really like an experience, and you're giving these people a show for them to literally just sit and watch. And so I got together with my band leader for that show, and we crafted this set list. And I started out with Neon. That's actually my current single right now. And it's just like a really high energy song, you know, go out there, do great on the first high energy, then do another kind of one similar to that. And then I like to have dynamics through the show, so maybe I'll play like a more chill one, or maybe like a ballad, maybe just me and my acoustic, and then have a full band one. It's really just dynamics, honestly. And then I normally try to end it on a high note. So
man, I can't imagine being on that stage.
It was insane.
Everybody looking at you and sitting.
I know.
Yeah, that's the weirdest thing about it.
I know. That's what's so hard, is because like something that's so great about those kind of dance hall environments is you're feeding off of their energy.
Right.
And you're not feeding off nothing at the Ryman. You're just like, they're just watching you, and you have to create that energy with your band and yourself. And it was so much fun. I got a standing ovation, which was like incredible, and I was like, this is insane. Yeah, it was so awesome. So
Forget Shenandoah, I'm staying.
I know. I was like, this is so freaking crazy. So yeah, I just can't get over that performance. That was just awesome.
So you brought your guitar here. You want to play us a song?
I will.
Tell us,
play a song.
Mikayla, what song are we going to hear?
So I'm going to play a unreleased song, actually.
Really?
I am. So this one comes out on March 8th, so it's coming up. I wrote this one with Bridget Tatum, who wrote She's Country for Jason Aldean. She's an amazing songwriter in Nashville, and we became great friends, and she's a great mentor for me. So we sat down and we wrote this one together, and yeah, it's coming out March 8th. I bet she broke 100 horses, just like she broke 100 hearts. They said the whiskey was her poison. She would match you every shot. The jukebox was her friend. She'd play 'em all and then she'd play 'em again. They call her Honky Tonk Halo, a ghost on the desert wind. Nobody knows where she's going. Nobody knows where she's been. There's a rhinestone queen chasing that neon down the road. It might be her, only heaven knows where honky-tonk halos go. She danced with every other cowboy, but it didn't mean a thing. You were lucky if you held her. She was lightning in the rain. A tumbling weed with a smile, I love you and leave you kind of style. They call her Honky Tonk Halo, a ghost on the desert wind. Nobody knows where she's going. Nobody knows where she's been. There's a rhinestone queen chasing that neon down the road. It might be her, only heaven knows where honky-tonk halos go. There's a rhinestone queen chasing that neon down the road. It might be her, only heaven knows. Only heaven knows. There's a rhinestone queen chasing that neon down the road. It might be her, only heaven knows. Only heaven knows where honky-tonk halos go.
Mikayla Lane with us here on the ranch. So you're kind of the real deal, huh?
Well, thank you.
That's a cool
I
song,
appreciate
man.
it.
That's kind of haunting.
Thank you.
There's a little darkness in there.
I'm glad you said that because that's kind of what I was going for, and I'm super excited that one's coming out in March. It's crazy how artists can like write a song, and listeners don't really think about all the things that could go into production or getting a song ready to release. And like I've been hanging on to that song forever, trying to get everything like perfect,
right?
Because I am like really specific on production and sounds and harmonies and all that, and I finally got it where I wanted, so it's coming out.
A perfectionist?
Oh, for sure.
Like,
definitely in
not kind of a perfectionist?
No, for sure.
Overly?
That's like the only thing I'm a perfectionist in, though. Honestly, it's like, at least I'm a perfectionist in something.
In something, that's good. Yeah, that's very good. So you are a country artist. Current state of country music is,
it's really interesting.
It really is, because you'll get those people like, I hate country music, and then you introduce them to our stuff, and they're like, I love country music, but they don't realize it's out there. So, like, what are your thoughts on the current state of, country music?
Well, something that has always kind of annoyed me about the music industry in general is, like, categorizing genres. Because, like, if you take what everyone calls the Texas red dirt kind of sound, you have like 50 different sounds,
right?
But it's still considered country,
which is weird,
which is super weird. And then you've got huge dudes like Cody and these massive artists who are still considered country, but they sound completely different than folks down here. And so that's always something that I'm kind of like, I don't like to categorize it. I just want to make cool music, and I like cool sounding music, good music. And I think the state of country music right now is, like I've said for this year, I think it's like the year of the cowboy. And I think Yellowstone has played a big part in that. We see these non-country artists kind of jumping on the cowboy trend, wearing hats and all this. And I kind of hate to see it be a trend because it's not a trend for like so many people.
It
and
makes it feel not authentic that
it's
way.
super unauthentic. That's a great way to put it. And it's just kind of like cheesy, And it's the typical like, let's go to Nashville and we think Nashville's like a cowboy town. It's not. It's not.
No.
And not knocking it. Everybody's like there just to have a good time, and that's great. But when it comes to like making music that's supposed to stand on its own and say something, I think it's hard to look at it as a trend. And I don't think music that's like that lives to be a very iconic song or artist or whatever it is. So I am glad to see kind of the more like the Zach Tops of the world. He's bringing like the authentic.
That sounds like the radio song.
Exactly.
So good.
I know. And you've got like he brings me like Keith Whitley vibes.
Yeah.
And his style, it's authentic looking, and it's just I love to see stuff like that. Laney's kind of helping that, and so you've just got these artists who I feel like are bringing the integrity back to what everyone calls country music. So I like it this year. I just hope that it kind of stays going this way and not like for like a here and then gone, and it was just a little fad thing.
As you find your footing as a young up and coming artist and finally starting to see some success, what kind of advice would you give other aspiring singer-songwriters?
Oh man, it's like super basic advice, but like I just
sometimes
think
that's needed.
Yeah, I just think like keep going is literally it, because I've had so many things that I'm so frustrated of, like I do not want to be playing this show, or like why am I here and this person is here, like this makes no sense, or why do I post this on social media and it gets nothing when in my opinion it's a great song, and then I see this other really cheesy thing that's like blowing up. And I think comparison with other artists, if you do it healthy, is great. Because, like me, I see the playing field for myself as all even. Okay. Like, I'm competing with, like, the best of the best because the music industry, there's no, like, minor league and major league. It's all just music.
It's a league.
Yeah. And
there.
I think that healthy comparison, you know, not stooping to a level of like, oh, if I'm 15, I'm just gonna release music that a 15-year-old should. Like, no, push yourself to release music that, you know, the biggest artist is releasing and compete with that. But don't, you know, like, see that and get down on yourself, because I've been bad about that too.
Really?
So it's kind of like a give and take thing, I think.
You think a lot.
I do. You know, I'm glad you said that, because my dad is like, you need to think better, blah, blah. So I'm going to let him
hear this. You want this audio clip right there?
I do, please.
Yeah. Use it as
I will play this for him.
Every time your dad calls, that's the ringtone. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So you can have that daily reminder. But yeah, I mean, that's what I've done for forever. And so many people are like, oh my God, you're like so much like mature and like you just need to like blah, blah. And I'm like, no, like, I'm wanting to do the same thing these major people are doing, so why would I act like everyone my age, you know, or like why would I release the same music that everyone my age is like, because oh my God, my biggest pet peeve, and maybe I shouldn't say this, but like my biggest pet peeve is going to like writers rounds with like girls my age, and they always introduce a song, have you ever been cheated on, this song's for you, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, this is
nobody's
everything.
ever done a song about that. Great idea.
And I'm like, just something different. And I think that's why you have these artists that we just mentioned, you know, like these people are kind of making a stand and it's different. And that's why people like it.
Absolutely. And that's the coolest thing about what you do is it's different. It's your own thing. And you sound like Mikayla Lane.
I think it's important.
Absolutely it is. So every artist sets goals for themselves. What's your next goal? I mean, you've already played the rhyming.
I know. It's like
you
what
peaked
else
early, Mikayla.
I know. Well, obviously, the Grand Ole Opry is still on there for me.
Right.
These iconic venues here in Texas, I just love. You know, Green Hall. I actually got to play Billy Bob's last year, too, which was awesome. And so, you know, just those venues to have on my resume would be awesome. And I really want to just release really good music that people really relate to and actually like moves the needle. And I know everyone says that, but I feel like I'm gonna be releasing a song every 6 weeks this year.
Oh, very cool.
So I'm hoping that some of these will really just like connect and just kind of, you know, do something. And you know, I think it's hard because people measure success so different. Like my success could be, you know, doing this, and I'd be like perfect. And then, you know, some people want to be Garth Brooks, and so I just kind of want to figure out what that looks like for me, and then just like work every day to try to get there. So. Well,
we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
I think you're heading in the right direction for sure.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for having me here. This was awesome.
Absolutely. Mikayla Lane, thank you so much for joining us on the ranch, and we'll see you somewhere down the road. Good luck to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good job.
Perfect. Thanks. That was awesome. Oh, I dropped my...